Bonjour, mon ami. My name is Paul K. Lemire. This is Habsolutely coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, in the studios of 4680Q. How are you today, everybody? It's a beautiful day out here, 80 degrees at noon, cloudy. It might rain, but other than that, we have a beautiful day here. As you can see, my co-host John Fillion isn't here today. Business to take care of. But we're going to run through this Absolutely show regardless. The show must go on, and we can't wait for John to come back because he does offer the analytical parts that I usually don't get into too much. I'm more of an opinion guy, giving my opinion of how things are going to go down and what's happened previously. Anyway, shout out to all my viewers. Thank you very much to our viewers. We love our viewers. We thank you for viewing, and we also thank those who can leave comments for their comments. It's fantastic that we do get comments and we can discuss all this. I don't get into a lot of rumors and all that. There's a million of them out there. Everybody in the NHL who is basically an RFA, UFA, or even had his name mentioned is going to the Habs. Everybody's trying to predict it. But you know me, when it comes to the Habs and Ken Hughes, my thing is always A2. A2. You know what that means? Expect the unexpected. That's the way they roll with Montreal Canadiens. That's what we've seen over the last few years. And that's the way they're going to continue to roll because that's their nature. That's what they do. Especially this crew. They don't telegraph anything. Everything is planned, orchestrated, way before time. They think about this and then they pull it off. Somehow they pull it off and they make it happen. We've seen it over the past few years and we're going to see it again this year. Expect the unexpected. A2, mon ami, A2. You talk about a wild week in the playoffs. I mean, Edmonton fought their way back into this series, down 2-1. They won that big game in Edmonton in overtime. And away we go, 2-2, going back for game 5 in Edmonton, which the Florida Panthers, they have this way of getting up for games and just taking control. They're on another level. These guys know how to play hockey. They play it rough. They'll play it smart. They'll shoot. They'll score. They'll do it all. And their goaltender is a money goaltender. Bobrovsky will not be denied another Stanley Cup. They went into Edmonton, won that game, go back to Florida for game 6. And what I'm going to talk about here, I wrote on Sunday night. I sat there on Sunday night and wrote this because I knew what was going to happen. They were not going to be denied. They were not going to beat Florida at home in game 6 and go back to Edmonton for game 7. We all knew it. And they didn't disappoint me, Florida. And not that I didn't want Edmonton to win. I have no skin in these games. I couldn't care less. To be honest with you, I watch it. If I feel like it, if I don't, I watch Leave It to Beaver. It doesn't matter to me. When the Habs aren't in, I really don't care. I'm paying more attention to the draft, free agency, and that kind of thing than I am to hockey right now. But congratulations to Florida Panthers for winning. And they won 5-1. They just didn't beat them. They gave them a beating. Reinhart scoring 4 goals in that game. Holy man. I mean, this is the kind of players that we need right here. Reinhart, Bennett, and then who do they pick up? Marchand, Tkachuk. And then they got their group. They're really good players like Barkov and the other guys Ekblad or whoever the heck's on that team. I mean, I don't even know all the main players, but guess what? They're good enough to win, and Bobrovsky knows how to stop pucks. I thought it would come down to goaltending, and basically that's what it did. I said that a couple weeks ago before the series started with John here. I said, I think it's going to come down to goaltending. I mean, they have talent, both teams. Let's face it. McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, the rest of the crew there, they have talent, but so does Florida. But the one thing Florida has is that money goaltender who showed up, and Skinner, who got Edmonton basically to where they got. He was terrible. They had to pull him. The other guy came in. What's his name? I can't remember his name even. But they had to pull him and put that guy in, and then the coach had to make the decision. who's going to play this game in Florida. They chose Skinner. It is what it is. 5-1 was the score. And it just his goaltending just didn't live up to what he did during the season and also in the beginning of the playoffs, in the first part of the playoffs against other teams. Sam Bennett. What can you say about Sam Bennett? 15 goal performance during the playoffs, well deserved. And he got the Conn Smythe for most valuable player. A lot of people, especially Boston Bruins fans, were giving it to Marchand. And, Marchand got it. He scored a couple of goals that won games, and he played a heck of a series. He was really a good pickup by Florida at the last minute to go in there. None of this baloney he does, none of the fooling around, tomfoolery, none of those antics. He just played good, solid hockey. He was a little bit of a pest like usual, but when you put the puck on his stick, he does stuff with it. And he's got that talent, and I can't even imagine what he would have done if he didn't grow up with Milan Lucic and all that playing on this team and learning to be a sleazeball hockey player. If he just stuck to hockey all those years, who knows where he would be? Who knows what his numbers would be like? But he certainly is. He showed he's a good hockey player, even and if he doesn't pull all those nonsense things like licking people and suspensions, slew footing, low balling, and everything else, hitting guys in the balls and stuff, he probably would have had even a better career. But the McDavid, Draisaitl, nowhere to be found. These guys are top guys, nowhere to be found in the final game. And I got to say that Florida is the hardest working team in the league. They never give up. They never give up. They never stop. So I know this is absolutely, but Stanley Cup is still a big deal to most people. So I just wanted to mention that. And where it does apply to the Habs is when you look at Florida, the makeup of the team. This is what Hughes has got to be looking at for Montreal. We have the talent already. We've got the guys who can put the puck in the net. Suzuki, Caulfield, Liney on the power plays for however long he's with the team. And we got Slavkovsky. Now we have Demidov. So we have the guys who can do that. Now what we need is those tougher guys to make Montreal a hard team to play against. That's what we really need. And there's where Hughes is going. So if you want to look at a team that really exemplifies what Montreal can be, because they have the talent already as far as putting the puck in the net, what we really do need is solid goaltending at all times. We need a Bobrovsky. We need another big defenseman. Got to get somebody to replace Savard. We need a D that can handle these guys. And then we also need that second line center that can come out, play hockey, and do his job night after night, not get pushed around, dig pucks out in the corner, always a force, always in front of the net. That's what we need. That's what Hughes is looking for. So when you look to the Florida Panthers, it's a good example of how. And then our coach, Paul Maurice, what can you say about this guy? Doesn't win a cup for 25 years, wins 2 in a row, and takes them to the finals the year before that against Vegas and lost, but still. He's a great coach, Marty. Marty, learn, because that's what we need if we're going to go places. We need a really good coach that knows how to take his team and take it to the next level. And that's what we're going to be looking at in the next few years. As Canadians, and I don't mean Canadians, we're looking for the first Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup since Habs did in '93. And my prediction is we'll be the next team to win the Stanley Cup. So all you Canadians out there, don't worry. Habs are there. Help is on the way. We're 2 years out yet, maybe 2-3 years out, but we are going to win that Stanley Cup. Help is on the way. Be patient, and we'll see what our team can do to bring that cup home to Canada. That's where we're headed. Drive for 25, baby. That's it. Train's rolling, coming our way, and we're going to jump aboard and get ready for the parade. So don't worry, help is on the way in the form of the Habs. Yeah, baby. Okay, how about some viewer comments? At Vince Houdon. I agree, Paul. A big move or two is coming, and I keep saying that I think in the next, well, before the 27th, which is a week away, just over a week away, we're going to see the Habs make a move. There's going to be a trade. There's going to be something happening before that, whether it's with draft picks or that, but something's going to happen. Since the finals are still going, no trades will happen until the cup has been awarded. Vinny posted this before the finals or before these games anyway. After last week, the excitement is building. What the Habs will do next, and I'm very pumped to see what it will be. Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon, I'm sure, will not disappoint. And I agree, Vinny. Right on, Vinny. My saying, you know what it is. It's A2, ETU, expect the unexpected. From Hughes, that's what he does. That's his MO. We have seen him pull off trades before the draft several times now, and I would expect his MO will stay intact for the 2025 draft. But the one change I am looking for him this year, which he really hasn't done in the past, is moving into the free agent market. And that's because we need certain pieces now. Before we were looking for maybe some veterans who could play. They came a little bit cheaper. Guys who have the talent but maybe haven't been performing, like Line A, guys like that. But I think we're looking for more specific people this time. And the way to get those specific people we need is to pull them out of free agency or to sign offer sheets on a couple of RFAs if we need to. I know that's not something that most teams do, but this time we may be able to get away with it. There are players who want to move, guys maybe like Marco Rossi, who want to move off their teams or RFAs, and we could lay down an offer sheet. And the teams might let them go. Maybe even some teams in cap room where their players that they drafted aren't performing up to snuff, and it might be time to cut them, let them go, and move on to other things. And so that's what kind of we're looking for now. And I do believe he may put his feet in there. And whether he's going to get anybody, I don't know, because there's one thing about Ken Hughes, he's not a dummy. Ken Hughes is a smart man, and he won't overpay for these players. That's the one thing he's never done. Liney is the exception. He doesn't like to overpay for these players. Yeah, he inherited some players like Gallagher and that, but he doesn't traditionally like to pay his players. And you look what he did with Slavkovsky, with Suzuki, and with Caulfield. So he likes to be in that $8 million range for great players. And I think you'll see a lot more of that because he doesn't want to get into these long-term, high-priced contracts. So you see what he's going to do here, and I agree. Vinny. Right on. Hughes is not going to overpay. We're going to see him do some things the next few weeks. We have 8 days until the 27th, and then another 3 or 4 days until the 1st of July free agency. So we're going to see him make a move before that. I truly believe that, but we might make him put his feet in the water of free agency this year. This is a different year. We made it last year. Now we got to make some more progress. We got to move forward. And we're going to need some experienced, bona fide NHL players to do that. We can't do it with our rookies. We saw them against Charlotte Checkers. They didn't put on that great of a performance. And so I would say most of them are probably not NHL ready this year. They'll make the NHL, but I don't think they're going to do it this year. So, maybe one. Maybe we'll get one up here, maybe a Reinbacher or somewhere, but he wasn't impressive neither. Logan Mailloux, maybe. But I think the other ones, depending on what they do with Dvorak, Armia, and those fringe players, I think that's going to decide who comes up. But not one of them really, really impressed me in that Charlotte Checkers final. And everybody says, they're playing against the best AHL team. Yeah, but the best AHL team is not NHL. That's why they're in the AHL. If you can't work with them, you get swept for nothing. That means your players just aren't ready yet. And that's fine. Give them time. Second comment, at Vinny Hudo. Yes, it was beautiful to see our wizard on the ice, Lane Hudson, win the Calder. Yes, I agree. So proud for the kid. Go Habs, go. P.S. Also want to mention he's 21-19. He turned 21 earlier this year. Paul was just too excited to notice he said 19. No, honest to God, I'm being honest with you, Vinny. I thought he was 19. I wasn't too excited or anything. I thought he was 19 years old. I don't know why, but I did. So thank you for the correction. I really appreciate that. And I stand corrected right here, right now. I stand corrected by Vinny. So what can we say about Lane Hudson? The guy's a phenom, and we're going to get past free agency in July 1st, and then we're going to have to start looking at his contract, what we're going to do, what kind of extension we're going to sign him to. We're going to talk about that later in the show. But at the end of the day, yeah. So what we have to do is find another D-man to replace Savard and get some help for Demidov, and we're good to go with our Calder winner. So we got Demidov, we got Hudson, we got CC, we got Suzuki, we got Slavkovsky, Patrick Laine, power play specialist. I don't think they're going to be able to move him at $8.5 million. I don't think anybody's going to take him. If they did, that would be fine with me because I really want to get rid of him. But he's only got 1 year left anyway, so need to get the most we can out of him and cut him loose. But yeah, exciting. I'm Vinny, exciting. And Lane Hudson winning the Calder, that was a gift given. I wasn't even thinking that anybody else could win, and he did win. He landslided everybody else. He got 165 votes, and the next guy got, what, 15 or something? Yeah, it was a slam dunk, but it means more money. It means more money. The last comment at JFKST1. JFKST1. JFKST1 said, "You look like you belong in the next Pirates of the Caribbean movie." Okay, I'll take that. I'll go. Yeah, I'll take that anytime, man. Get Johnny Depp to give my people a call. Get a hold of my agent and manager. And when I get the nod, I'll show up for casting call. I'd like to be with a patch in my eye and a hook thing on here, and away we go. Pirates of the Caribbean. I'll do that any day, anywhere. Let me know. Thank you. JFKST1, that's his first comment, and I love it. Keep commenting, JFKST1, because we like when we get comments. And all of you out there, listen, if you're watching the video and you're enjoying what you see, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. It costs you nothing to subscribe. We don't charge here for our opinions. No, we don't charge to argue. We do that for free. Comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that you get a ding when I drop the next video. Make sure it all works. Why not? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Comments are done. Let's get on to Habs trivia. Okay, Vinny, this one's for you. Let's see. You said they've been too easy. Vinny gets most of them. You know that, right? Vinny's a whiz when it comes to the Habs. You'd think he was 150 years old, what he knows. So, Vinny and everybody else out there, us Hab fans have seen the Habs perform wonders on the ice. We've seen them win 4 Stanley Cups in a row in the 70s, Stanley Cup in the 80s, Stanley Cup in the 90s. We saw their well, I don't know how many of you out there did, but I saw them win at least 2 of the 5 Stanley Cups they ran in the last part of the 50s and all the 60s, everything there. I saw the good ones. Belleville, Maurice Richard, the Pocket Rocket, Gump Worsley, you name them, I saw them. That's how old I am. But here's my question. What are the most goals the Canadians have ever scored in a game? What's that number? How many goals have the Canadians ever scored in a game? The biggest number they've ever scored in one game. What do you think? I'll give you 4 choices. Number 1, 16. Number 2, 14. Number 3, 12. And number 4, 10. What is the largest number of goals the Montreal Canadiens have ever scored in one game? Tick tock, Tick tock, tick tock. What do you think? Give me that number. First choice, 16 goals. Second choice, 14 goals. Third choice, 12 goals. Fourth choice, 10 goals. And I believe myself, I've seen them score maybe 10, at least 10 one game. I've seen that, maybe 12. Maybe you remember a 14 goal game. I don't know. But what is the biggest number of all those? A lot of goals in one game. 14, 2 touchdowns, baby. But they did it. They did it. What is that number? Vinny, what do you think? You know the Habs? What do you think? Well, the correct answer is 16. That's right. One game, the Montreal Canadiens scored 16 goals. But if you don't remember it, it's because we have to go back to March the 3rd, 1920, when the Canadiens had a game for the ages. They drubbed the Quebec Bulldogs 16-3 in that game. That's right, 16-3 they won the game by. And that 13-goal gap between their score and the Bulldogs' score back in 1920 was the largest margin of victory in Habs history, in the franchise history. Now, this team had such luminaries as Newsy Lalonde, Odie Cleghorn, George Vezina, you probably heard about him, Didier Petrie, Harry Cameron, Amos Arbor, Billy Coutu, and Louise Berlinquette. They were the players on the team. Now, that night, Newsy Lalonde had 4 goals. And he also led the team in scoring that year with 37 goals, 9 assists, and only 23 games. That's right. You got to remember, this is old-time NHL there. 23 games they played. And that's amazing. Now, the Habs played in the brand new Mount Royal Arena built to replace the burned-down Jubilee Rink. The home opener was held on January the 10th, 1920, with Newsy Lalonde using the occasion to celebrate with 6 goals in a 14-7 hammering of the Toronto St. Pats. There you go. So that 14 goals, they also got that on that team, that 1920 team. It was a prolific team with good scores. Now, you got to remember, there were no playoffs that year since the Ottawa Senators won both halves of the season. The season was split in half, and he won both halves, so they were the automatic cup winners based on that. So there was no real playoffs. Now, according to the records, here are the scores for that game that the Habs scored 16 in. Newsy Lalonde had 4. Harry Cameron had 4. Didier Petrie, he had 3 goals. They were all in the first period. They scored 4 goals in the first period. Odie Cleghorn had 3. And Amos Arbor had 2 to round out the scoring for the Habs. What a game. What a night. The night the Habs scored the most goals in their franchise history against the Quebec Bulldogs. And it was a different league. I think the team only had maybe one goaltender, of course, that played every game, the whole game. And they only had about maybe 2 lines, 12 players on the team. That was about it. A couple defensemen on each one, 3 forwards, 10 players, 2 lines, 10 players plus a goaltender, 11 players. That was about all they had in those days. So can you imagine watching this game, though? These guys just lighting it up like that, 16 goals. Yeah, it happened. It happened. There you go. Vinny, did you get that one? I don't know about that. I don't know. We'll find out in the comments after the show when Vinny gets in there, watches the show, and gives us his comments. Okay, so as we roll through the show here, so many rumors, so many pundits. What's real and what is fabrication? Every time I look online, there's all these crazy claims about players that are coming to Montreal. Like I say, any player who's been looking at moving around the league, they're coming to Montreal. It's a lot of fabrication, a lot of clickbaiting when you read a story, right? It has nothing to do with anything. So, when you look at all this stuff, like I say, the big names that are out there, take that with a grain of salt. All these guys are coming to Montreal. But at the end of the day, we may not see him. Like, what's his name? Nicholas Hague, or whatever his name is, Hague. He's supposed to be coming. I think he's in Vegas. He's supposed to be coming. They're looking at him and they're trading for this guy. And, Sam Bennett was supposed to be coming and Crosby was supposed to be coming. I mean, there's all these guys that are supposed to be moving. Or Marner, he was supposed to be coming. But the bottom line is, I don't see Hughes making any of these crazy moves. They're not paying Marner $13 million. It's just not good. Somebody will. And Bennett said he wants $18 million. And there may be somebody out there that'll take it, but I think he'll end up back with Florida. And, Marchand's out there. Well, we're going to get Marchand. And it's probably not going to happen. Anybody who's being mentioned now isn't going to happen. Ken Hughes has a plan. He's going to stick with it. I mean, we've been linked to so many players. Every single UFA, every single RFA, every draft pick. They're all coming to Montreal. Montreal's going to trade up. Montreal's going to trade down. Montreal's going to trade for a bona fide guy like they did with Newhook and Doc, which I would put more credence in, something like that. Somebody you don't expect, because we have to always, A2, expect the unexpected with Hughes. Something like that would make more sense to me than a player like all these big players that are UFAs and all that. It's just, they're all just distractions. But now that the Stanley Cup final is over and the season's over, I think we're going to get to see some more serious paths for the Montreal Canadiens to go down and Hughes to go down. And I think Hughes can really get down to business now and really fine tune what he wants to do with players. And as much as I say, wow, they're mentioning everybody, one of those players could end up on Montreal. We know Hughes is making a big push towards some of these players. There's a lot of players out there, a lot of players Montreal could use because we have free agents. Remember that. Remember, we have free agents that we may not sign. So we got to take care of that too. And they may just want to test the waters if Montreal don't offer them enough. So there's no guarantee with Dvorak and Armia and some of these other guys, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The next big thing that's coming down the pipe is the draft, so we got to watch that. I'm not going to try and predict who the Habs are going to take, so let's do it this way. Right? And it's always A2. And what I would expect him to do, and this is unexpected by a lot of people, would be for Hughes to trade the 16th and some players for a bona fide NHLer that might be available. A la Newhook and a la Doc. Now, what they say, since the Habs have already so many former picks to on board, so we've got 33 draft picks, I think, in the last 3 years, so we got 12 more this year, that it wouldn't be out of the question to use these 16th and 17th picks as trade bait. But he could also use them to trade up. Maybe he wants to trade up and he wants to pick up a couple other players. There's somebody early in the draft that he wants to get up there for. He may trade his pick to somebody who picks 5th, 6th, 7th to ensure that he gets some of these guys like a Carter Bear or Kashwan Aitchison or maybe even Radom Murka, a 6'6" D-man. I mean, these are guys who names have been thrown around. They've been ranked anywhere from 5th to 20th or 25th. I mean, there's so many different people trying to pick it. The first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 are always pretty well. The first 2, 3 or 4 or 5. They're the guys who are going to go first, and they always are. But then you get these other people who are good, and other people see them in a different light. And at the end of the day, we may end up picking up one of these guys who nobody picks. But, I mean, that's going to be a long-term impact. We're not going to see these guys just step into the NHL and be Lane Hudson's. I mean, even guys like Bedard and that, they're once in a lifetime opportunities. Of all the players that are drafted through 6 or 7 rounds, there's only one player that can step into the NHL, and a lot of them can't do it. We saw Shane Wright. We took Slafkovsky instead of him, and he never made the NHL the first year. And the second year, he's hardly playing. You don't hear a lot about that guy. and everybody was screaming that Montreal never took him. But at the end of the day, they were right. Montreal was right. So some people may not take some of these, and they might get up into the seventh or eighth position. Montreal may trade up. We have the picks, we have the money, we have the cap space, and we have the need. It's all right there in black and white. You can look it up. So I'm looking for something to go down before the draft. Before draft day, I'm looking for something to go down, and we'll find out what's going on. And if you don't see it before draft day, maybe on draft day you'll see a trade right on the draft floor. But something's going to happen. Now, the draft is coming up in free agency, so we're going to see what's going to happen there. Who knows what Hughes is going to do with that. But we do have some housekeeping on the horizon. And one of those bits of housekeeping is to sign Lane Hutson. What to do. We know he's going to want a boatload of money, right? Come on, this guy won the Calder. He was a phenom, blah, blah. We know that. And it's not that we don't have it to pay him. We can afford it. Because remember, this is the last year for our monkey, Carey Price, his contract. That's been a thorn in our side for the last 7 or 8 years. And now it's over. This is it. After this year, he's done. And man, I would hope, I hope that there's a team that needs to make the league minimum of $70 million. Because if they've got to make that minimum, Price could be the guy they'll pick up to hit that minimum. You never know. We'll have to wait till after the draft and everything else. But if they can't hit the minimum, we may see them take Price to hit the minimum and eat the last year of his contract, even though he won't play. We've seen that happen with a lot of players. Nathan Horton went to Toronto Maple Leafs to do the same thing. So there's a lot of these guys floating around that could help another team that's got to make the $70 million cap floor. So for me, I would like to see Hutson sign a contract if he's going to go long term for probably, I would say, 8-year, at the most, $72 million. Somewhere in around there. That's giving him $1 million more than CC and Slafkovsky and Suzuki. Now, whether he's going to accept something like that, I don't know. He may want for 8 years, he may want $80 million. He may want $10 million a year, $10.5 million. And then the Habs are going to decide, we don't have to sign him right away. We don't have to give him that extension. He's still got another year before he's an RFA, but I would think that the Habs want to get this settled once and for all, and make sure he's on the team. Now, has anybody ever thought of maybe a bridge contract? We've seen them. I don't see them as much as I used to, but most players with Montreal signed a bridge contract, and they gave them $7 or $8 million for 4 years, and then they, of course, would reassess it. And you got that sophomore jinx coming up. That's a real thing in the NHL. Players don't usually perform the second year as well as they perform the first year when they're like Hutson. But even at that, he's gonna have a good year. And in 3 years, maybe, or 4 years, then he's going to be worth the $13 million as the cap goes up, because the cap is going up again. So maybe he'll sign a short-term bridge contract until he gets his big one. I don't know. I don't know what the Habs are going to want to go. I don't know if they're going to want to go $10.5 million, $12 million, $11 million. I don't know how high they're going to want to go. I'd like to see around $9 million a year on an 8-year contract. I don't know if he'll take that. You got to know that he wants to play for the Habs. He's going to get a long-term contract, and that's stability as far as salary goes. You won't have to worry about it. That's all locked in and signed. You don't have to worry about it. If he gets injured or whatever, or he just has a couple of bad years, who knows? I don't think he will. I don't think anybody's anticipating that, but you never know. This is NHL hockey, right? So this will give us a chance to see if this was just a one-hit wonder, which I don't think it is. So if he doesn't want to sign a bridge or anything, I think $9 million is fair at this point. Really, the guy's got one season under his belt. $9 million seems fair to me. I hope he does. What do you guys think out there? Leave comments, please. What do you think he's going to sign for? Come on. Give us a shot here. Let us know what you think he's going to sign for. We're looking at your comments. We're looking for what you think. And I've heard a lot of different opinions on this. And I know everybody would like to see him sign for $8 million, but I just don't think that's enough. Especially after winning the Calder. I just don't think that'll be enough to sign him long term. What do you think out there? Let us know. And we also have Heineman, Pez, Dvorak, Armia, Dobish, and Struble to deal with. And Dobis and Struble are RFAs. So these are the little housekeeping things that we got to do. And we have 6.1 million of cap space at this point. Of course, we're going to have more when it comes up to the start of the season after we put a price on long-term injury reserve, LTIR. But for now, we have, I think, I think I looked it up, and it's somewhere around 6.1 million, something like that. So we're going to have to get everybody signed and everybody ready to go for that 6.105 million. So we're going to have to really do some shuffling and housekeeping. I don't think some of these guys are going to want much, but I think if we don't offer Dvorak and Armia, I don't know about Heineman, but Dvorak and Armia for sure. If we don't offer them $3 million a year, I don't think they're going to stay. They're going to try free agency. I would say Dobis, he'll probably go for he might go for a short-term contract, 3 years at 1.5, 2 million. He hasn't proved anything yet. Struble, I like him, but he's probably going to want to have 2.5 million a year on a 3 or 4 year term. Dobish and Struble, they're the two RFAs. Got to get them signed if we want to keep them. Is Struble expendable? I would say yes, he is. But on the other hand, he's a steady player who really helped us this year. And when we got into the playoffs, and a steady player knows what he's doing. He's smart with the puck. So yeah, we have to consider that too. So Hughes has got his plate full. He's got his plate full right now for the start of the season. So there you go. Now, free agency, that's a little bit more sexy than these little business matters. Now, I think what they offer guys like Armia and Dvorak to stay are going to be dependent on what Hughes thinks he can get out in the free agency market, because we're going to have to pick up somebody to replace these guys if they go. And like I said, from what I saw of Laval, I don't think those players are ready to step into a huge role. I mean, we saw Armia get 20 goals, and we saw Dvorak step up as one of our leading face-off guys and power penalty kill specialist, and same with Armia, along with Jake Evans and Suzuki. So you just can't get rid of these players unless you have somebody else that can step in and work with them. So I think, excuse me, you guys. So I think you're going to see Hughes taking a real close look at what's out there, what he can get before he starts lowballing these guys. If there's stuff out there, he'll give them a lower offer. If there's not, he'll give them something good, at least for the next 2 or 3 years, just to keep them there until we get our act together as far as our prospects and that. And like I said, this is the last year we have to deal with Price's contract. It'd be real nice to trade him before the season starts to a team that has to reach the increased minimum salary floor of $70.6 million and get rid of that contract completely. Laine is another problem child. What do we do with him? I mean, at $8.5 million, he's really goofing us up. I think we got to put him on the ice and get all we can out of him before his contract expires. And I mean, if he can get 20 goals on the power play, that'll help us out if he can do that next year. And that was only basically he played half a season. So he might be able to play a full season, which is very, very questionable with this guy. Can he get a full season in? That's the question. I mean, the guy got hurt in training camp, exhibition. That's going to be a real big question mark. So because of the 6.105 million of handicap of cap space, we really don't have a lot of wiggle room right now to sign any UFAs or RFAs unless we move somebody or get rid of some of these guys, let them go to free agency rather than signing them. And we didn't sign them, so they can go to free agency. So unless we sit down with them and sign them, we can let them go, and then that'll open up Armia. It'll open up Dvorak's contract. It'll open up a few others. If Ken Hughes sees something in the free agent market that he thinks he can get, then believe me, he's talking to a lot of people. He was at that Prospects Challenge in Buffalo. He was talking to a lot of people there. Buffalo's looking to move some people. And we know darn well the New York Rangers, Kent Hughes has a great relationship with the Rangers. And some of their players are on the line, including Lafreniere and Zibanejad, who I would love to have Zibanejad. I would really like to have that guy on their team, but we'll see if we get him. That's a possibility. So we don't have a lot of wiggle room. And of course, that'll open up beginning of the season when Price goes on LTIR. But until we get that breathing room, Hughes is really going to have to shuffle the deck on some of these players. Like I said, we'll see what happens with them, depending on what Hughes thinks he can get out there and what they're willing to sign for. So we got to leave enough there so we can pick up a free agent if we get it and not have to make any huge moves. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be a chess match. I can see pieces moving around. It's going to be a chess match if we've got a really good UFA that we want on the team, and Hughes is going to have to shuffle around to get them. So we'll see. We don't know. Hey, too, expect the unexpected. So lastly, Hughes has a great view right now of how to build a Stanley Cup winner. He watched the Florida series. He saw what they did to win 2 Stanley Cups in a row. The information's there, and he has all he needs to know right now on how to build this team. We have the core players, just like Florida did. And guys like Wi-Fi are a must. We got to keep Wi-Fi. His brother Florian should be on the team as well when we make our run. He can score. He's big. He's one of those guys that can really do damage. I mean, Florida didn't run over the league in the regular season. And the reason is because they were probably tired. That was a long 2 years of making it to the final twice against Vegas in Edmonton and then winning it. I mean, that's a lot of hockey in 2 years. And then to have the third year here where they're going through it again. So during the season, to me, they weren't really impressive. They didn't win the division or anything, being Stanley Cup champs, but they were always there. And to me, Paul Maurice is such a good coach. He understands that. He knows exactly how to deal with these players. He wasn't worried. He knows if we get into the playoffs, that's where we shine. That's where we're going to be a force. And that's what we've done for the last 2 years. This was the third. So we don't have to run over the league. We don't have to, Montreal. We want to make the playoffs. We don't have to run over the league. But we need the Bennetts, the Reinhardts, the Kachucks. We need those players, the Marchands. We need them to come through when we need them, when it counts, and that's in the playoffs. And that's where these guys really step up. They really stepped up their game for that series, and that's what Habs have to do. I think we have the talent to do it. We just need the other parts. We got to shore up our goaltending. I don't think our goaltending is good enough. I think we're in a situation like Skinner and Picard. I think we're in that same type of situation where they're all right, but they're just not that good. Now, Fowler could be our answer, but he's not going to be ready this year. I'll guarantee you that. He's still got some learning to do down in the minors in Laval. So we've got to shore that up. I don't know if we want to pick up a bona fide goaltender, a tried and true goaltender, but I don't think we will. I think we go Sammy Montembeau. I think we'll go Dobish, re-sign him as an RFA, and then use Fowler on the other end of it. I think one of our guys headed over to Hughes. I think he headed over to Europe to play in the Swedish league or something. So he won't be around, and he was one of the guys that we've looked at before. So that's what we need another D man to replace Savard, a good D man to replace Savard. Mayu might be the guy. We'll see. I didn't see that flash of brilliance from him in those playoffs. So the step up might not be as easy as we think, but he could also be trade bait for someone who is. But the pieces are falling into place, everybody. And we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks because these next 2 weeks are going to be critical as we hit the draft and free agency. They're going to be critical to the Habs and where we end up and where we go for next year and who comes up, who doesn't come up, what players move, what players don't move. It's a big jigsaw puzzle. We're moving pieces around, making them fit, and we want to progress from last year. We don't want to be waiting till the last day of the season to make the playoffs. We want to be in the playoffs early, and then we want to get in the playoffs and get through that first round. That's really important. I think organically we can. That was the importance of playing Washington. We might not have won, but that's 5 games under our belt. So these guys are a little bit better. They got the season under their belt. They know the ins and outs of playing in the season. They got a playoff series under their belt. They know what's going on with that now. For the guys that never played in the playoff series, CC has, and so with the Suzuki. And now we're there. Now we're there. Now we see. So, and Sammy Montemo too, and Dobish. I mean, they never were in a playoff series either because the last time it was Price when we went to the finals in 21. So I think this has been a really good learning experience. I think Hughes has got the idea of what he needs to tweak the team to take that next step. I think we're going to take it. I think we're going to be battling it out in the playoffs from day one. We're going to have a good start, and we're going to continue it on through the season. No last game of the season playoffs. And then we're going to see what we can pick up along the way. So we have to wait and see. Like I say, if you listen to everybody online, you go crazy because they're throwing every name against the wall, hoping one person sticks. And then they go, oh, I picked them. I picked them. Yeah. I don't know. I read all these things. And everybody gets mad at them, calls them clickbaiters and everything else. Well, I just don't do that. We have to wait and see, and then we'll be happy after we make the picks and our draft pick and everything else. And like Drew Deeks did last year, jump in the pool when Demidov was our selection. So we may be jumping in the pool again this year on draft day or UFA days. So anyway, I thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week with Absolutely. Keep your eyes on the prize, baby. Keep your eyes open. See what they're going to do. We might have more to report next week. But as it stands now, E2, A2, 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 ETU, A2. Expect the unexpected from Ken Hughes. That's the way he operates. That's what I'm expecting, the unexpected. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. This is Absolutely. I'm Paul K. Lemire, missing my partner John Louis Filion today. Couldn't make it. In the studios of 4680Q, downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. God bless you all. We will see you next week, and then we can just start getting ready for the draft. I love it. I love it. This is my most exciting time of the year. I love being involved in watching it and just seeing what happens when it all comes down. Au revoir, mon ami. Au revoir.